So we all know that the Raiders need a franchise quarterback. The Raiders also need some offensive line help. We need a wide receiver number one. We also need a edge rusher opposite of Max Crosby, and the list goes on and on. Head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, new owner, you name it, the Raiders need it. But we are going to be talking about what the Raiders could do in the draft, because after listening to a lot of your comments about a particular player that the Raiders should take a hard look at, I did an even deeper dive than I had already before. And after coming across a very interesting show talking about this very subject, I wanted to share it with you guys, get your comments, get your ideas about it, as well as share my own. So let's jump into a possibility if the Raiders don't end up with Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward in the top 4 picks. What could the Raiders do? Well, here's one idea.
There's another quarterback in your first round, and it's Jalen Milroe going number 26 to the Raiders. So you have trading back up into the first round for another pick. What does that say about how you feel about Jalen Milroe potentially enticing teams like Vegas?
A lot of mental gymnastics went into this. I'm going to be honest, Chris. I just said that Tom Telesco does not trade up or down, and here I have him trading down with Mike's Green Bay Packers. And the thinking is this. Look, man, desperate times call for desperate measures. I would imagine that if they had a time machine, they would have gotten one of the quarterbacks in last year's draft class. 6 went in the top 12. At 13, they got Brock Bowers. Turns out he's pretty good. But Jalen Milroe, you have to hope you get the best of Anthony Richardson. And we saw the best last weekend. We've seen plenty of bad with Anthony Richardson as well. But that also means you have to get someone in there like Shane Steichen that can put his quarterback in position to have success. And we certainly didn't see that with Luke Getsy over the first 9 games. So there are a lot of ifs there. Tom Brady's obviously a minority owner now. He's going to have some say in the coaching staff and the quarterback. And I think if you like Jalen Milroe, if you love Jalen Milroe more than the other quarterbacks after number 1 and number 2, it's reasonable to go get him, the 5th-year option, those things that we talk about. But the high-end athleticism, the high-end upside is all there. Would have liked to seen a little more progress in Kalen DeBoer's offense in year 1. Haven't quite seen it yet, but the opportunity is there, Mike, to be a special player. But the circumstances have to be perfect.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, you have to address a few things. Number one, we're going to have to get some guards in the 3rd round, upgrade the offensive line that way. We also need a offensive-minded coach, whether it's going to be a new offensive coordinator that could really utilize Jalen Milroe's extreme athleticism that he exhibits, or it's going to be a head coach that can do the same thing, like Shane Steichen. So, yeah, I agree with him on this one. One of the downsides with him is he could turn into an Anthony Richardson 2.0, where he has all of this athleticism but cannot put it together as a quarterback. Right now, Jalen Milroe still relies way too heavily on his elite speed and ability to run with the ball. I would like to see him really grow as a quarterback, much like Lamar Jackson has done. Now, getting Jalen Milroe at pick 25, maybe even doing a trade down and picking up more assets to go from number 4 to 25 to do it. It's a risk, because what if somebody does take Jalen Milroe? What if you're not the only one looking at him? What if you're the New York Giants and you want to grab him because you weren't able to get up and grab Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders? It's risky, but I definitely like the idea. But let's just take another side of this with this guy here.
I don't hate it because it's a weak class too. It's not like there's a guy sitting on the board there in the mid-20s that's going to be a stud for you. And if you just consider Miller an athlete, because the NFL is an athlete-driven league, he could be a first-round type of wide receiver if he just wanted to switch to that position, or a first-round DB. The guy runs a 4.3 at 220 pounds. He's a special, unique playmaker. Is he a quarterback? I'm not sold at the next level, but the man has tools to get the job.
So with that, he has all of the athleticism, which is why he gets compared a lot to Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson, both guys who have not panned out in the NFL as of yet. I think that there is a difference after watching this following video that I'm going to show you, why I've changed my mind on Jalen Milroe, and now maybe I'm getting a little bit more sold on this guy becoming a franchise quarterback for the Raiders. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
The senior year, Milroe is preparing for the 2024 season under a new head coach. Jalen Milroe joins us now, live from Times Square. What's up, baby? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm around great people right now, so I'm enjoying the moment.
Oh, thanks, man. Keep the compliments coming. Let's talk about your success because you've had so much of it. I mentioned the SEC title. What's the mindset going into this season, especially now with the new coach?
I think the biggest thing we have to do initially is flip the page from 2023 and now the 2024 season.
Okay.
Setting short-term goals and long-term goals. Once you have goals, that's how you can really push towards something in a direction. And so as players on the team, we seek advice from our head coach, from Coach DeBoer, who's leading us in a great position.
Okay.
He's successful this year.
Okay.
The biggest thing we have to do is take care of right now.
Right.
The process of now. That mentality, each and every day, trying to compete, work hard, the one-and-oh mentality. Coach DeBoer talks about relentless pursuit to continuous improvement. And once he put that in position, I said, man, like, what a great opportunity each day to seize every opportunity that we have, because one thing about time, you can't get it back.
Yeah.
So each day we go into the facility, try to be 1-0 each and every day.
So you're quoting Coach DeBoer already, so clearly you guys are connected.
Oh, absolutely.
But Nick Saban was there for 17 years. I presume he recruited you there, right? He put you into a starting position. What was that transition like? What was the news like when you heard he was leaving?
It was crazy. Initially, to see the retirement, Coach Saban is the greatest coach of all time, and he recruited me to Alabama. So to have the years of 3 years being around someone to now the retirement, it was wild for us as a whole.
Yeah.
But when you talk about life after football, you got to talk about life after coaching. So what a great opportunity for him to now step into a different role as a head coach, now get into what he's doing now.
And start the rest of his life.
Right. That's awesome for him.
Yeah.
And then also to be around a direction that he's still around sports.
Yeah.
Which is
for sure.
awesome. That's his passion, that's his drive. So
No doubt.
I'm supportive of that. But the transition has been awesome.
Yeah.
With having Coach DeBoer just lead us and just getting to know him.
Yeah.
A lot of your teammates left Alabama after Saban left. Why did you decide to stay?
I'm big on goals. Setting short-term goals, long-term goals. My initial goal coming into college, beyond any play on the field, was getting my degree in 3 years. And I was able to achieve that this past December.
Wow.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What did you take your
Congrats.
degree in?
Business management with a concentration in entrepreneurship.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're pursuing your master's.
So now I'm pursuing my master's degree.
In?
And sports management.
Sorry, I sound like a parent. Master.
And what do you hope to do?
I love that. Adriana mentioned guys leaving. Some leave for different reasons because of coaching, better opportunity.
So let's just address this real quick. This kid set out a goal for himself to earn his degree in 3 years. He did that. He achieved that. And now he has set another to earn his master's degree before he comes to the NFL. This is something that you don't see a lot of in these star players because they're only using college to get to the NFL. And so they don't take their schoolwork as seriously as they should. And this is what literally this interview has really changed my mind on Jalen Milroe. Anybody that gets their degree in 3 years while being a full-time employee of a football team, because that's basically what you are, and then is getting your master's degree in your final year, or what could be his final year, because I think he will have one more year of eligibility that he could come back to Alabama next year on. Color me impressed. I am impressed with Jalen Milroe, but it's not done yet. Check this out.
Some leave for now NIL deals. Name, image, likeness. It has changed the landscape of college sports. It has kind of blurred the amateur status. And you're one of those guys that have benefited from that. I feel like there's a ton of pros when it comes to positives of NIL deals, but there are also some cons. Yeah. Can you break down those two things for me?
Absolutely. NIL is a great introductory to being financially literate. I think that's very important as athletes, is understanding the money. And we have an introduction to that with NIL. And it's all about building your brand. Athletes do a really good job bringing in a lot of revenue to universities. Yeah. So now I have the opportunity to, build a brand for yourself and make the most out of name, image, and likeness. What a great opportunity in itself. Yeah. And players have been doing a really good job with that. Yeah. All a part of the moment and stuff like that.
That's wonderful.
It's been.
So they're about to cut him off here because they're running out of time. But listen to what he said right there. This is really important. The NIL deal for him has not been oh, great, now I get to go out and party. Now I get to go out and drive, a hot rod and all of this other stuff. It has been a lesson in financial literacy. I love that he has that mind state. He's getting a master's degree, so he's obviously smarter than me and probably most of us in this world. And so I'm sold on Jalen Milroe as a possibility later in the first round. The Raiders trading back up from the second round into the later first round, grabbing Jalen Milroe if we do not end up with Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Again, Cam Ward is still my favorite. The upside of Jalen Milroe with his raw athleticism, again, being 220 pounds, being able to run a 4.3 40, being so shifty on the field, and having a rocket for an arm. If a good offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach and or head coach can really get the best and utilize the best out of Jalen Milroe, he could be an absolute superstar, Lamar Jackson-ish 2.0 in the NFL. I would love to have him on the Raiders at that pick. It is still a little bit risky because after a few years in college, he still has not dominated as a passer. And I would have liked to see him do that. Of course, if he did do that, he'd be the number 1 overall draft pick, and we wouldn't get him anyway. But here's what I'm thinking. The Raiders could use their number 4 pick and maybe trade back to number 8, picking up a second round draft pick. You use that second round draft pick in order to move up back into the first round to grab Jalen Milroe at pick number 25, like the previous video suggested. So what do you do with the number 8 pick? Well, if he's still available, you would grab this young man right here.
At the end this spring, how would you assess your spring?
It's been good. Just another opportunity for me to learn something new, go through a new challenge, and adapt to something that I haven't done before, but I got great coaches around me. I got great teammates to help me out, teach me what I need to do, let me know what I need to do, and it's been good so far.
Tom Allen told us that you actually asked him to make the move to the defensive end to get closer to the ball, be more disruptive. What went into that decision to want to play that DN spot?
I just wanted to play fast, just do what I do best, get after the quarterback, not have to think too much, just play fast, and just get paid.
Get paid, I love it. Who's the one guy on offense that you went against this spring that balled out, that dominated, that you would say watch out for?
I would say Donka, one of our tackles or guard/tackles. He had a good spring.
So this is Abdul Carter. He is Micah Parsons 2.0. You've probably heard me talk about him. He might still be available at pick number 8. Again, this is going to depend on what the draft order shakes out to be at the end of the season. But if the Raiders could trade from pick number 4, if that's where we ended up, and trade back to 7 or 8, pick up a second round draft pick, still get Abdul Carter, trade back into the first round and get Jalen Milroe as our franchise quarterback, develop him. My goodness. And imagine this. What if the Raiders were to go and get a competent veteran quarterback, which has been floated around in the NFL rumor mill of the Atlanta Falcons trading off Kirk Cousins and starting Michael Penix next year? The Raiders go and trade for Kirk Cousins. You now have your bridge quarterback who's actually good, and you bring in Jalen Milroe, let him sit for a year, and you make a playoff run with Kirk Cousins, and you develop Jalen Milroe as a quarterback instead of throwing him in the fire right away. You have Abdul Carter, Max Crosby. My goodness, all of a sudden, you go out and you sign T. Higgins in the free agency, and the Raiders are back, baby.